Hi everyone, Scott here from Pillow, and this is the first in the video series specifically aimed at landlords who have buy-to-let properties and are thinking about jumping over to the serviced accommodation and holiday home market. And the first topic I'd like to cover is the advantages of serviced accommodation over buy-to-lets. Now, when I say serviced accommodation or SA, it's a catch-all term for holiday lettings, short-term lettings, it could be corporate lettings, furnished holiday lets, self-catering apartments. So the generic term we're going to use is serviced accommodation, or SA for short, but it does mean holiday lets as well. So lots of different properties are suitable for this. So the first main reason people jump over is that there is a lot more income in SA than buy-to-let. I've very rarely seen a case where a buy-to-let property can make more net income than a serviced accommodation unit. I'm pretty sure there will be some areas, and we don't take all properties on because we know some properties just wouldn't work. The guests would not find them popular. You wouldn't get the bookings, or you would get the bookings but get lots of bad reviews, which is going to lower your bookings going forward. You wouldn't make that much money. So for us, there's a certain thing that we work out, a certain profit margin. If you're only making £100 more per unit than doing buy-to-let, you're probably better sticking to buy-to-let because there's lots of working parts with serviced accommodation. So for us, the profit's always a lot more. That margin is down to the size of property. So if you have a city centre duplex apartment, you might see that the profit goes from a couple of £100 net cash flow to maybe £1,000 net cash flow. If you have a little one-bed property, you might actually be quadrupling your profit, but your profit after all costs might only be £50, and if you're quadrupling it, you're getting 200. So very, very rarely do we see serviced accommodation units making less money than the buy-to-let market, but we wouldn't take a property on if that was the case. The next thing, which is great for landlords, is there are no arrears. If a tenant moves in and doesn't pay rent, you know how long it takes to get them out. There are no arrears. People pay in advance. We need the full balance before they move into the property. And because you've not got a residential tenancy agreement, you can simply take your property back. So there are no rent arrears as such. The next thing is there's no evictions. So whether you're in England or Scotland, you know the process for evictions is a nightmare. It takes so long to get people out. My estimation of we've had a letting agency since 2005, currently have about 500 properties, and it means we've done tens of thousands of tenancies over the years, and we've done our fair share of evictions. You're definitely £5,000 in for any eviction. By the time you pay legal costs, tenant not paying the rent and loss of income, and then any court costs, all these things add up. You're talking £5,000. You don't get that with serviced accommodation because it's not the principal home. There's no tenancy agreement. There's no rights of tenure. You simply take the property back. And if they don't pay the rent, you change the locks. Nobody's going to be staying in your house and not paying rent because it's guests from overseas. No one's just going to say, I'm just going to stay, give up my job and my family and my career in Germany and my house and my car and live in your apartment free. It's just not going to happen. So there's no evictions. You just don't need to worry about it. Next thing is the flexibility. You can get your property back whenever you want. Now with the ASTs in England, it's 6 months minimum. In Scotland, it's a PRT now, and they've got lifetime tenancies. So if you want your property back, you might need to give your tenant 84 days notice, more in some instances. So if you're thinking of selling or moving or doing other things, getting the tenant out isn't that easy. With service accommodation, you just take it off the market, and you can even cancel future bookings. So if something happens and you need to take the property back, need to sell it, need to move back into it, whatever, you can get your property back very, very easily. And I've said flexibility, but you can also use your property. So you might set up as a home away from home, as a unit that you can use. So you might want to gift that to friends and family coming to stay with you. You might want to stay if it's not near where you are, you can use your own unit as well. For us, I love the flexibility because we give some weeks to charity. So we give weeks to charity. The charity can use them, or they can raffle them off for money. So there's actually some give back to the communities and the charities that you support, you can do as well. So I've covered private use. You can use these properties for your own use if you want. And finally, which is probably the biggest one, I started with income, which is why most people do it, but really we're talking tax advantages here. So mortgage interest rates relief in clause 24 doesn't apply to serviced accommodation. And if you're a higher rate taxpayer, you can no longer claim all of your interest back against your tax. You can with serviced accommodation or furnished holiday lettings, as the HMRC calls it. The next big thing is capital allowances. If you own your home and live in it, you can't have capital allowances. If it's a buy-to-let, you can't have capital allowances. But if it's a furnished holiday let under HMRC guidelines, which we can help you with, you can claim up to 45% of the purchase price back against your next tax bill and 100% of any refurb costs. So it does mean you can potentially wipe off any tax paid for what was a buy-to-let property. If you keep it as that, you will pay tax for the next, say, 3 years, but you can wipe off the potential profits for your SA unit for the next 3 years, depending on how it's set up. But you definitely always be able to claim capital allowances. So we started with profit as the main one. I would say your tax and the different cool things you can do, because it falls into a different classification, is one of the main advantages of making your unit a serviced accommodation one rather than buy-to-let. So this video I have covered the advantages. We want to be open and honest with everyone watching this series, and in the next video I'm going to cover all the disadvantages.